Prison guards ordered the inmates to take off their clothes for inspection. Everyone else was extremely nervous, except for this man, who flashed a sly grin. As the man bent over, one of the guards was so startled that he shouted. Stan was sentenced to 3 years in prison for fraud, but before going to prison, he found a mysterious martial arts master to teach him kung fu, so he wouldn't get assaulted behind bars. On Stan's first day in prison, he saw a huge black inmate bullying the newcomers. To establish his own authority, he decided to confront the man head-on, publicly calling him a coward. The big man grew red with anger, immediately stripped off his shirt, and stormed toward Stan. But Stan stayed calm. He turned around and slapped the man hard across the face. Then he unleashed a series of smooth fighting moves on him. The furious black man tried to fight back, but Stan grabbed his wrist, and began twisting his fingers one by one until they snapped, accompanied by the sickening sound of breaking bones. The man's thick fingers were bent and broken, and he fell to the ground howling in pain. Now that Stan had made his point, he started to leave, but the leader of the black gang blocked his way. He wouldn't allow his people's dignity to be trampled. With a single gesture from the gang leader, his men charged at Stan, but in less than a minute, Stan easily knocked every one of them to the ground. When the gang leader was still defiant, Stan landed a punch right on his face, knocking out several of his teeth. From that moment on, the black gang leader never dared mess with Stan again. Next, the leader of the white gang blocked Stan's way, but they didn't want to fight him. They wanted to recruit him into their gang. Stan's response was another punch to the white gang leader's face, because Stan didn't want to join any gang. All he wanted was a quiet life. After this series of confrontations, Stan's reputation soared. When the warden heard about it, he called Stan into his office, but instead of reprimanding him, the warden offered Stan food and drinks. Because the warden had had his eye on the prison real estate for a while, he wanted to shut down the prison and build a resort on that land. Since Stan came from the real estate business, the warden wanted his help. If Stan agreed, his sentence would be reduced to just 1 year. Of course, Stan couldn't refuse such an offer. After that, Stan got his own office, but he was constantly interrupted at work, so Stan made a new rule for the inmates: no more violence in the prison. Anyone who disagreed could challenge him to a fight. Once they heard that, nobody dared object. However, when the warden saw this, he unexpectedly became furious.